row of our Prix Grand Prix for DRS62B. The 104 of Finley Watson. There he is, second in the championship. 11-point gap between himself and Archie Heron. Well, he could take a big chunk of those 11 points. He probably has taken some of them already this weekend, but he could take a big chunk of them today, as could the pole man, Daniel Sabula, then. 5th in the championship. Won the first heat. He's now chasing, well, the next in the line for him in the championship is Aiden Hassan. Just behind them then, the 76 of Sherry-Ann Powell came on very strongly towards the end of the heat earlier on this morning. Don't expect an awful lot between these front three in terms of pace. Certainly if the heat was anything to go by, they demonstrated an ability to be there or thereabouts in terms of pace with each other. Archie Pitts-Drake, another one of the rookie drivers. He'll start on the outside of the second row. Jamie Scott, 6th in the championship at the moment. So a lot of the drivers in this B group who have the opportunity to get some points in the bag here. This is the Prix Grand Prix then, the second Prix Grand Prix for the DRS62s. The first won by Aiden Hassan, with Ella Stevens in second place, Jamie Gurney in third. All three of them will feature in the main Grand Prix final later on this afternoon for the DRS62s. To give you an indication of time, that is scheduled just around about 5 to 3 this afternoon. There is a Federations Cup for the DRS62 drivers as well before that. But first, it's the Prix Grand Prix. Daniel Sabula, as we said, courtesy of his heat win, is on the inside of the front row with Finley Watson alongside. Row 2 is Sherry-Ann Powell and Archie Pitts-Drake. Row 3, Jamie Scott and Daniel Ware. Harry Bartle and Ollie Morrish on row number 4. Row 5 is Ewan Scott and Eddie Stewart with Freddie Cox and Aaron Mensah on row 6. And Max Hawley, we were just going to see whether he's actually in the field. Not sure if he's actually in the field. Max obviously was the driver involved in the incident earlier on in the DRS62 heat. I don't think he's come back out for the Prix Grand Prix, but as we saw on our screens, he fantastically walked away from that rather big accident. Just seen a couple of drivers come round. Freddie Cox has just come round to complete his first formation lap. So we have got one driver just right at the back. So Aaron Mensah is just trying to catch up with the rest of the field at the moment. He's heading around this circuit. They've been told by the officials that they'll go around again. So good early indicator for these young drivers from the officials, just to make sure that they knew that they could stretch their legs again. There's quite a few little shortcuts on this Llandow circuit, so there's a couple of places where they could have got Aaron Mensah to just skip through a shortcut. There's loads of them. There you go. There we go. We've got him through one of the shortcuts at the far end of the circuit, and he'll go and rejoin. It looks like he doesn't really know where he's going now. It's like he's kind of got lost going through one of the shortcuts, but he is now going in a clockwise direction. He's got to catch up with the rest of the field. There's another shortcut over there that they could use as well. There's lots of little different configurations they could use on this circuit, but this is the traditional standard national karting configuration they use here at Llandow. And they are already on their way out of the Dell chicane and heading down this long hanger straight. Has he caught up? So round they'll come. I would imagine they will go this time. So from the front row then, has Finlay Watson got the drop from the outside? No, he hasn't. It is Daniel Sabula who drops into the lead from pole. Watson up into second place. Now, I think that Sherry-Ann Powell may have lost a place to Archie Pitts-Drake in those first corner exchanges as well. So we'll just keep an eye on that. It is Pitts-Drake up into third, and Sherry-Ann Powell is demoted. Pitts-Drake, a real charge, a real great run into Chandler's and takes second place away from Finlay Watson, and Watson re-attacks down the inside, and Sherry-Ann Powell just tries to find a way through as well. But certainly an excellent first lap from Archie Pitts-Drake. Got loads of grip from that Daniel Ricciardo kart, and they are heading now into, now where's Sherry-Ann Powell gone? Has she lost a place at the back of the field there? She lost a little bit of time coming out of the Dell chicane, and she has lost a little bit of track position as well. Sabula, Watson, Pitts-Drake, then Powell, and the 120 of Daniel Ware. Jamie Scott in 6th, and Ollie Morris, and Ewan Scott is in 8th, and Harry Bartle is in 9th. So through the right-hander of the complex section down this Lancashire curve, the right of Chandler's opens up on the exit, and they'll stretch their legs up towards the Dell chicane. So Sabula and Watson, the gap's 0.6. Watson a little bit wide as he came out of the chicane that time, but I think he's just about got away with it as we look down back to Scott on the inside of Daniel Ware, and he's found a way through. So Jamie Scott then, the number 9, is up into 5th place. He's at the head of a battle, a 4 or 5 kart battle. There's a spinner in that battle as well as they go through the chicane. We've got one who's had a spin and had to rejoin further towards the back of the field. There is Jamie Scott through the right-hander. He's got Daniel Ware behind him into Chandler's, and there's the 113 of Daniel Sabula, who's our race leader. The battle for second, though, is very close between Watson and Pitts-Drake. Now, can Pitts-Drake get a decent run out of the Dell hairpin? He's close enough, is he, to have a look down the inside? He sits in behind. Will he pull out last minute? No, decides against it. And it's still Finlay Watson, second in the championship, second in this race so far. Has he got the pace to get on terms with Sabula? Has he got the pace to hold off the advances of Archie Pitts-Drake? At the moment, Daniel Sabula is doing a good job at just driving away from these two. And what it does do is give us a real promising Grand Prix final to look forward to, because if Sabula can carry this sort of pace and he goes into a group with, because all the top drivers will be together for the main Grand Prix final, he's going to go into a group together with the likes of Aiden Hassan, with the likes of Ella Stevens, who've all been race winners here this weekend already. So the 3 of them together could be a cracker for our main Grand Prix final for the DRS62s. At the moment, Watson has to try and find a way to get back on terms with Daniel Sabula. There's 0.8 of a second between them. It has come down a little bit on the last lap. Freddie Cox there in 8th place. As the rest of them stream through. A good little battle between Morris and Cox and Scott and Stewart. A little gap back then to Harry Bartle. And Aaron Mensah is the last of the running drivers. There's Ollie Morris, just 8 years old. One of the younger in the group, but doing a good job up in 7th place at the moment, but under some pressure now from Cox. Manages on, there's contact between them. There's contact between Cox and the 92 of Ewan Scott. And Cox is furious, isn't he, as they come through the right-hander. And there's a little bit of afters as well between the two of them as they went over start-finish. So just keep an eye on these two and the ensuing battle, which may continue to take place around this Llandow circuit. There is the 127 of Harry Bartle, who's been the beneficiary of that incident between Cox and Scott. He's jumped up a couple of places into 9th place. So what's happening at the front then? So the gap was 9/10 of a second between Sabula and Watson. We've just crossed the line to start another lap. It's now a good lap from Sabula. 3/10 of a second taken from Watson that time. Really strong lap when it needed to be for Daniel Sabula, and that's what you tend to see with the real top drivers. They know how to really try and find the lap when they need it, try and break the stranglehold that a driver may have off them, try and stop a flow against them, try and stop an attack. And the top drivers tend to find the way of putting together 3, 4, 5 good corners in a lap, try and be consistent, block things out, concentrate. And that's exactly what Daniel Sabula managed to do. And the gap between himself and Finlay Watson is now up to 1.2 seconds. Has Watson got any sort of response to that? They're just about to cross the start-finish line again. And no is the answer. He hasn't. Well, the driver who has got a response is Sherry-Ann Powell, because Powell's just done the fastest lap of the race so far, a 51.455. Now Powell is 5th. But he's he's 4th, but really starting to push now onto the back of Archie Pitts-Drake. So Drake, and even Watson's not a million miles ahead of her, and she's still got 90 seconds plus a lap. She might get 3 or 4 laps still to have a look at these drivers. Pitts-Drake on the back of Watson. Just keep an eye on Powell, who's just put together an excellent lap in 4th place. They're just heading down the hanger straight towards the right-hander at Raymond's, the final corner. 1:30 still to go, plus that 1 lap. The gap between Sabula and Watson was 1.4, it's now 1.8, and Sabula is driving away at the front of this field. He is putting in consistently quicker laps than the 3 behind him. Now what we really want to see is this battle to continue between 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Finlay Watson, Archie Pitts-Drake and Sherry-Ann Powell. Scott is a further 5 seconds behind in 5th place, so don't worry too much about him affecting this battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. But there is a chance then that these 3 could come very close in the closing stages. Watson, Pitts-Drake and Powell. We've got 2 laps to go then. Line astern they are as they go down the back straight into Raymond's. Sabula has already crossed start-finish line. And if anything, Sherry-Ann Powell is the one now just starting to get on terms with Archie Pitts-Drake. She's just cruised onto the back. She gets a good run as well out of the hook chicane, and she's there or thereabouts through Surtees. She'll want to try and get past Pitts-Drake as quickly as she can and at least give herself a lap or 2 of clear air to get after Finlay Watson in the closing stages. Will she have a look at the Chandlers? Not quite close enough this time. Pitts-Drake holds her off as they go up towards the Del Chicane. Surely it'll have to be Raymond's for Sherry-Ann Powell. Gets so close as they go through the exit of the Del Chicane. Now then, can she get the slipstream? Can she get underneath the rear bumper as they go into the left? She can. And Pitts-Drake holds her off. She almost comes out side by side. She's right there then. Are they on the, is it last lap this time? No, it must be next time. Oh, it is last lap this time. It is last lap this time. So, Sherry-Ann Powell then, another good drive out of the hook chicane. Where does she make her move now? Is it now underneath as they go into the right-hander through the complex? Will she have a look through the Lancaster curve or even through Chandler's? It's high risk in Chandler's, but she's done it before. No move there then. They're right together, these 3, aren't they? Finlay Watson's come back as well. She looks down the inside into Dells, doesn't manage to do it. Now tucks right underneath. She needs a good exit if she can from the chicane. I don't think she's going to be close enough, is she? The 3 of them, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Don't worry about Sabula. He's long gone in the distance. Sherry-Ann Powell points her nose to the inside but cannot find a way through. They were very close at the end, but it is Watson, Pitts, Drake and Powell, 2nd, 3rd and 4th in that order as well. Jamie Scott then through in 5th place. 6th place, just coming through now, is Daniel Weir. And then it will be Eddie Stewart in home in 7th. Daniel Sabula then Is he the biggest threat to Aiden Hassan this afternoon in the Grand Prix final? It promises to be a stunner from the DRS62s. We've got drivers who are very close in terms of lap times, and if the pre-Grand Prix is anything to go by this afternoon at 5 to 3, it's very well worth tuning in to the DRS62 Grand Prix final. That's the pre-Grand Prix for the DRS62s complete. Our next pre-Grand Prix is the A group for the DRS100s, and that's scheduled off in just a few moments' time.